And then 38%, this is the third reason, third top reason, 38% says current political divisions. Okay. We have, I think over the past few years, we've had a very intense division in politics and in our country. And so pastors, as well as ministerial leaders, have to deal with that. They have to, people are looking to them to give them advice or mentorship in that. And, you know, that's something that is very stressful and hard on the leadership. Okay. All right. So those were the top 3 reasons, you guys. And, you know, I just want to reiterate that it was up 13 percentage points within a year. You know, and so that's a big jump of people considering quitting full-time ministry because of the stress, because of feeling lonely and isolated, and because of the current political divisions. Okay. And so we have to do something about that. All right. And so I want to go ahead and focus on pastor's care. You guys, taking care of yourself is so important. Did I say so enough times? I want to stress this so much, you guys. It is absolutely essential. It is absolutely vital that you as a pastor and or a ministry leader, that you take care of yourself as well as your first ministry. And Bishop has talked a lot about our first ministry, marriage, and our family. That's our first ministry. And so I want to just let you know that you need to make sure that your spouse and your children get the best of you and not what's left of you. I'll say that again. You have to take care of yourself because your spouse and your children should get the best of you and not what's left of you. And many times I know that that's the case. All right. So I want to kind of go over how we take care of ourselves, because I know that some of us are like, I'm busy doing all kinds of things. So how in the world am I going to take care of myself? And I want to tell you the 3 R's: rest, reflect, and restore. I'll say this again: rest, reflect, and restore. All right. So we're going to start with rest. And it says, come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Okay, this was in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Okay, so these are some tools that you can do or use to help you to get rest. I want to kind of point out that sleeping is not always the same as resting. Okay? Because you can sleep a certain amount of hours, but if you have not shut your brain down and been able to get all of those thoughts or the things you need to do or your to-do list out of your head and actually rested, you know, you're going to wake up like a freight train hit you. And that's not good. Okay. So sleep is not always the same as rest. All right. So one of the tools that you can use to get rest is to disconnect from your electronics and from social media. Okay. And I know I can speak for myself. This is a very hard thing. It's easier to say than to do. Okay. But I would encourage you to take some time to pause on your electronics and social media. And this will cause you to be able to kind of settle your mind and quiet your mind, okay? So that you can get some rest, all right? The second thing is to get proper hours of sleep for optimal functioning. You guys, I cannot stress this enough. Like I said, sleep is not always the same as rest, because when you're sleeping, but it is important for you to get a good amount of hours that will help you to be functioning, that will help you to have a better attitude about different things, okay? And so when you get the right amount of sleep, you will find that your body will be able to rest. Your body needs a chance to shut down. Your mind needs a chance to shut down and be able to not have to think about anything. And so I will say too, make sure that you're getting the proper amount of sleep. So, and also, set a routine. Some of you might have a routine before you go to bed that helps you to kind of shut down your mind and be able to rest as you're sleeping. Okay? Make sure you do that. The third thing that I want to share with you is to engage in meditation or mindfulness. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about sitting in Indian style and getting out the bells and boing, yoing, 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 yoing. I'm not talking about that. Okay? I am saying that it is very, very, very important to have a time where you kind of just take some deep breaths, close your eyes and just breathe in your nose 5 seconds and breathe out your mouth 5 seconds. And just allowing yourself to kind of melt into whatever you're sitting in, okay? And just to kind of quiet yourself. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about meditation and mindfulness, actually being able to rest, being in a restful state, okay? I know that there's been times when I used to teach and I would be at my desk at the computer and I would notice after a little while that my shoulders were all hunched up. And I would be like, oh, why am I sitting like this? Because subconsciously, sometimes we are stressed and we're not even really noticing it because it's become a normalcy for us, okay? And so therefore, we need to make sure that we are being aware of ourselves so that we can do that, okay? So first R is rest. The second R is reflect, okay? And it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are noble, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things or think on these things. Okay? And that's from Philippians 4th chapter, 8th verse. And I want to tell you guys, this is so important, but you cannot reflect, okay, if you have not first rested. All right? And so I want to make sure that I kind of go over reflecting, okay? Reflecting is more so taking a moment, taking a pause to think about what you're thinking about. Okay, how you're feeling. And so one of the tools that I would encourage you to do is to do a mental check-in. Okay, I will say that when my child, my youngest, was, he was like, I think 5 or 6. And I picked him up from school and he was in the car and my oldest was in the car as well. And she had said something, very simple to him, nothing that he should have gotten upset about. And, I think she asked him like, how's he doing or whatever. And he was just like, oh, and he just was so like emotionally charged, right? And I said, honey, are you okay? And he said, I don't know. And I said, are you tired? And he was like, yeah. And I said, are you hungry too? He was like, yeah. And so we fixed those things. We gave him something to eat. We allowed him to get a nap and he was fine afterwards. And I want to say that that is the same thing when we are adults. We have to do a mental check-in. We have to ask ourselves, am I tired? Am I hungry? Or am I cold? Okay? And I put it in cold because this is part of your basic needs of having shelter, food, and clothing. And the thing about it too is that when I'm cold, okay, and I can speak for myself, when I'm cold or I'm extremely hot, I am not a happy camper. Okay? When I am hungry, they have a term that they've used now called hangry, where you get angry when you're hungry, you know? And so when you're doing a mental check-in, it's just those simple questions. Am I cold? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Because when your basic needs are not met, you will be emotionally, you will be hypersensitive. And so things that normally wouldn't bother you, they're going to bother you. You know, people that normally, if they said a joke or they said something to kind of jab at you a little bit, normally if you have been rested, if you have, you know, eaten something or whatever, you're not like, it don't bother you. It kind of rolls off your back like a duck, right? But when you are hungry or when you're cold or when you're, stressed and just, you know, not feeling good, it's going to exacerbate how you are, your anger or your irritation or whatever. It's going to make it worse. Okay. So do that mental check-in.